A ship sails and I stand watching until she fades on the horizon, and someone at my side says, "She is gone." Gone where? Gone from my sight, that is all. She's just as large now as she was when I last saw her. Her diminished size and total loss from my sight is within me, not within her. And just at that moment when someone at my side says she is gone, there are others who are watching her come over the horizon, and their voices are shouting out in gladness, saying, "Here she comes." Yeah. Just thoughts and peacefully rest in the presence of God.
Today we how it's going to go, and then you and someone come up.
Hi, thank you for coming to sit here
Well, I'm kind of in the middle of AA. We got the young people, we got the old people. We're almost in the hotel. Is that 50? Is that
Give it to Susan. Thank you.
They're on the land.
So right up like that.
jam up there?
Yeah.
Sitting over there.
Let's pause and in this silence of this moment, open ourselves to a power other than ourselves. O Creator, higher power, God of the living and the dead, bless our gathering and open our hearts to the beauty of this moment, the sting of our loss, and the great possibility embodied in this fellowship of the unashamed, the wonder, the mystery, the presence, and absence that leads us full circle to you. Saint Joan, we called her, because we knew Tom's story. In their 67 years of joys and sorrows, triumphs and regrets, fears and courage together, because she shared her weakness and strength, her kindness and struggle, her grace and recovery. Now she is embraced in you, pure love, a love unimaginable, a love supreme. Bless all of us who come today to mourn, to celebrate, to remember, especially our brother Tom. And bless Leslie and John and their children and their families. Let's pause in gratitude to marvel together at our practice of letting go. A design for living that invites us to die to ourselves in little ways, that we might know a new freedom and a new happiness. To experience the spacious generosity that makes even death an invitation to freedom and unimaginable love. May Joan's life and death inspire in us a wonderful urgency to live life to the full, and remind us always to let the understanding, love, and peace of the program grow in us one day at a time. Amen.
And I don't know what else, but I really want to thank you for coming and celebrating Joan's life. A little background. Joan, this is in the obituary that I wrote. Joan was born in St. Joseph, Missouri on June 4th, 1930. She came to California in her grandfather's Model T Ford and settled in Glendale, graduated from Hoover's High, and we met and married in 1952. Our first date was January 31st, 1951. We were married 6 months later. And everybody said, it's not going to last. And we were married 67 years. I have never cried this much since I was a baby. But, you know, the last 6 months of Joan's life was not a pleasant experience. She broke one hip and broke the other hip, and that she had to be in assisted living the whole time, and she's in peace at last, and I'm grateful for that. But we had a wonderful marriage. Especially the last 33 years when I got into AA and she got into Al-Anon, and we have 2 wonderful children and 5 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren, and a lot of them are here today. And I really appreciate you all coming, and you know, the last 6 months of her life, I told you she was in assisted living, so I wasn't used to living by myself, and so it's been okay, and I'm doing pretty darn well. I was the love and support of my family and all the people in the program, and life goes on, you know, and I miss her terribly, and I really want to thank everybody that showed up here today, people I haven't seen for a long time, and this is really wonderful. So thanks for being part of our lives. I really appreciate it. And Lisa, every Thursday we get a message on our answering machine. Joan, I'll pick you up at 10 to 5. And she would take us to her Al-Anon meeting, and I'd go to my meeting. And so anyway, we've always had the love and support of the people in this program. We really appreciate it. And thank you all for being here today. Thank you.
I'm glad you're all here. I thought it was over all the crying and stuff too, but it comes and goes. I feel a lot of support here. Can you hear me all right? It's interesting how I make plans and God laughs. You know, I had this big thing written out, you know, and everybody here expressed almost 100% of what I had written down. So it's interesting how that works out. So thank you all. And I will, just to let you know what a coincidence it is, or how true it is, I guess, is more like it. I had written that I'm John, and Joan was my mother, and we, as a family, thank you all. I'm glad that she touched your lives, she touched ours, and she is with us. And when I was writing this, I was switching back and forth, present tense, past tense, because, you know, she's alive in my heart and in my, you know, on a spiritual level. She was a spiritual preacher, and she understood that. She found a spiritual solution back in the dark times when Dad was having so much trouble, and that was her solution, a spiritual solution. She didn't run from things, she embraced things. I think you all feel that. Your presence is a testament to the many things that my mother was, and that's what attracted you here today to support us. And there's so much I could go over. I know there's a lot of people here, and I really want to hear what you have to say. But what I wanted to do was focus on one of the many, many things my mom was. And one of the attributes that struck me that I would like to focus on was her giving nature. She gave so much to me and my dad and everyone. I won't even attempt to go there. other than my mom was definitely a giver. She gave her love sincerely and fully. When she said she loved you, she meant it. It wasn't just a phrase. She was simply stating how she felt. And she was honored by your presence. And you had her full attention when you spoke. Mom gave Dad her whole being. She was a devoted, loving wife and soulmate. She gave him support, love and care, and when needed, forgiveness. Mom gave all her love to her family, always there for us, always caring. We all learned from her example how to live and how to love. Mom gave her devotion and love to the men and women of Al-Anon and AA. Most of us here have benefited by her presence and her work. Mom gave her support to anyone who needed it without judgment or prejudice. Just like you were talking about. It's unbelievable, but it's true. The truth is always going to come through. Mom gave us lots of prayers. She understood her powerlessness over some things and used this spiritual tool for the well-being of others who were suffering and lost. She wished them well, never asking anything for herself. Just that. Truly a real prayer. Mom gave us smiles, hugs, and that wonderful twinkle of her eyes that expressed the delight when you were with her. Mom gave us heartfelt greeting on birthdays and special occasions. Many of us here today recall that special singing birthday greeting accompanied by Dad. Such a special gift. Mom gave us collections. My niece has been going through the house and finding all of Mom's collections. You know, I call them collections. I wouldn't call it hoarding because I think I inherited the collecting gene, and I have quite a few collections myself. But she loved sending and receiving greeting cards and correspondence. And when Lauren was going through the house, she found hundreds and hundreds of cards, you know, all cataloged. Some had photographs in them, and some of them had little notes, and, you know, cards that you sent from distant places on your vacations and all. And she treasured them. And I don't think she could bring herself to part with them, you know. And I think she had them organized. She'd reflect on those things, you know. When she had her eyesight problems and all, she knew that they were there, and through them you were there. And she was humbled by the way that you loved her. You know, she was just amazed. She went through a very lonely period, like Dad was talking about. You know, we lived isolated out there, and it was tough. And she was just never got over, and is always grateful for the fellowship and the love and feelings she received here. And she was more than willing to give them back, because she had them just stored, ready to burst out, and she did. It's a gift. Family photos are another favorite thing that she saved, and when Lauren was going through things, I said, please save any photos. And going through those cards, there was a lot of photos in there, so that was a good thing. We're still sorting through all that stuff. And my wife had said, have Lauren save the journals. Mom was quite the journaler, and when Dad and her were on vacation in the motorhome, she would chronicle the mileage, the temperatures, the people she met, the animals, the roads, I mean, everything. It was a big experience for her to get out in the world, you know, and she really, really relished it, and she wrote it all down. So I said, please save those, because I could live her life with her through those, you know, reading them, you know, that I'll get more of a view of her. And those are the things that I'll treasure, and we'll all treasure. Mom gave so much of herself to us all that I believe she is with us today in our minds, in our hearts, and our spirits. And thank you all again.
Nice. And I wrote a little something, and as my uncle John has already said, most of it's been stated. Most of it is stuff you guys all know, but since I don't know all of you, and I am so fortunate to now be meeting all of you and seeing what a wonderful community she had and that my grandpa still has, I just wanted you guys to hear a little bit from the family as well, from myself. So, my grandma was, this is my son, the quintessential sweet grandma. I always felt so lucky to have her in my life, and I'm grateful I did for 35 years. She loved unconditionally, and her gratitude knew no bounds. One time, she sent me a handwritten thank you note that you guys all know about after I just called her. And I thought, I probably need to call my grandma a little more often. But it was so sweet, and how she never would complain about how little I called. And I will say I got much better after that. And really fortunate in her last 6 months, I spent as much time with her and as many phone calls with her. You want to talk to? So she loved listening to birds in her yards and watching sunsets and going to look at wildflowers, and these are all things that I love now too. She expressed her love for things and people so openly, and it was so wonderful to see the little things that she just appreciated and how much she loved everybody. And she truly felt it and meant it. That's what I'm gonna miss most, was the I love yous. I would say, I love you, Grandma, and she would go, oh, like she really felt it and took in what I was saying. And she would say, I love you. And that emphasis on the you, that I just really knew she meant it. And they weren't just words to her. Her sweet little grandma chuckle was my favorite, and I loved it when she did it when she was watching my voice play. And I feel so fortunate that both Dylan and my little one Bryce got to meet their great grandma, and that she got to have so much happiness by seeing them as well. Bryce would just light up when he saw Grandma. You So, as a mom, something that I learned, I'm just going to speak from the heart a little more now, that my grandma growing up, she always said how lucky she was to live near us and spend so much time with us as kids growing up. And I always just kind of thought that was normal. And in my 20s, when I'm coming home from college, she would always just say how much she loved I was coming home and how much time we spent. And I always was like, yeah, thank you, I get it, I love it too. And then now I have kids, and I see that special relationship grandmas have and how important it is to have your grandma nearby and how much love you have for your grandma. And I feel like that really came through, and I really got to have that. And I have so many wonderful memories. And from little things to Tinker Toys and Toyland and all these little Thundercats and all of our fun memories of cousins out at Squire Canyon, to the things now as an adult that I love and cherish, and I will always think of her when we come to Avila and watching the sunsets. So thank you all for being here and supporting my grandpa. I live down in Los Angeles, so I always feel like I want to be closer and I want to be home, and it's so nice to know you guys are all here for him. So thank you for putting this together. It really means a lot to our family.
Bro, it's not you. I'm good.
Like
You should go through it. When is it?
Can I put them on his plate over here and you can have the cheese pizza? Oh, perfect. Here, let me get that up.
So this is what he said. He says, well, what is
Hi, Mary.
Hey.
You know, it works for you.